Hello, you beautiful co-creators, and welcome to another Space and Time with me, Gabriel Lugo, where I talk here from self to self. Today I'm going to finish the channeling that I started last week on meditation that began with the conversation about that stillness of mind that Ramana Maharshi talked about. And that led into what I call the I am not, the process of revealing that consciousness that we all are, that creator within ourselves. That is the purpose of meditation, the purpose of our stillness, because if you see, this is exactly what we are trying to achieve, the calming of the mind in meditation, so as to reveal that which is always and ever present. It seems contradictory to the mind that it needs to stop doing what it does for it to reveal its own source. And the more you do it, the more it makes sense, because the more you actually realize that you don't need the mind to be present. And so the idea that we have to do something to accomplish this becomes obviously futile. So in that last podcast, I talked about the process of meditation, how the techniques of meditation that are given are all in essence to bring our one-pointed attention to the degree in which we realize that the only thing we can actually have when there's no activity of the mind is that pure presence that we are. And this was obviously not me, this was the channeling in the LNL research group that did this on March 18 on 2017. So I will continue what they had in their channeling. So I made the distinction, or I cut it at the point where they finished talking about the techniques of meditation and so on. This is now going to reflect the second step into self-realization, or what I call collapse of duality. And that is how we come out to the world, and why, if we are this stillness, why do we have a mind that works? Why do we have a mind that creates experiences? And even in a deeper sense, why do we have this Maya, this illusion? Why do we have samsara? And here you get a glimpse into that. So I'm going to start with that paragraph that I left, and that is when they say, "Now, my friends, we come to the time between the two meditations, the time during which you live the daily round of activities, as it has been called. Within this state of being and activity, it is much more difficult to achieve the one-pointed silence, the one-pointed concentration, the sense of being one with all that there is and with the one creator. For your third density illusion has been created as an experience in learning how to look at that which seems not unified, and yet eventually find it within yourself to be unified. To look at that about you which seems to be broken, and yet find within yourself the ability to note it as whole and perfect." So in a very poetic way, and actually very descriptive, to be honest, the way in which they explain this is, first of all, when they say the time between the two meditations, is because prior to this they suggested that we do a morning meditation and an evening meditation. I talked about that, of course, in the last podcast. So in this part, they're talking about the daily activities that we go about, the life that we live with family, friends, and so on, work, studies, and just whatever describes your life. And they rightly say that, yes, it's almost impossible to achieve this one-pointed silence within ourselves. But how does that help us to achieve this in meditation? Well, they go in describing that the third density illusion, that is our 3D environment, has been created for experience, basically. And that experience is for us to learn in the sense of separation, or in the apparent sensation of separation, the unity that underlies everything. Now, the key word here is love, as we will find out. And this is the point in which we are experience the illusion of separation. That's what Maya is. So we can have our own path filled with challenges that invite us to observe the unity behind all of it. So that is in essence what they're saying here in this first paragraph. They go on and say, your illusion has many challenges that are your own choices, depending upon how you have planned your incarnation. For this life that you live on your third density planet Earth is a life lived within, shall we say, a school. You are at the third grade in this school. You have learned how to be self-conscious and a conscious seeker of truth. And now, within this school, you have the challenge of finding that love that exists in every moment. For indeed, that is the challenge of your third density illusion. Love has become the moving force, the creative energy that has made all that there is out of that which is called light. And yet, within your illusion, it seems that there is so little of either love or light that you are challenged at every moment by what seems to be separation. A separation between yourself and other selves, between yourself and the world around you, between yourself and everything that exists. This illusion has the purpose of giving you the opportunity to find the unity, the love and the light in each moment. I will add to this because it's pretty explicit. One thing that I wanted to add at the beginning, and it's a good time to actually add it in, is that, you see, we, in the first half of this channeling, in the previous podcast, we experienced that moment of one-pointedness, or at least the sensation of the cessation of the mind, where pure presence is the only thing that exists. So, in that pure presence, there is no identity. There is no quality. There is just consciousness. So now, in the language, which is something that I described in the last podcast as well, the language that we use is addressing the separate self, or the sensation of a separate self, because they're talking to us as if we actually are something that we experience as separate. Now, this is common, of course, of our experience. It's impossible not to feel separate. Even the most enlightened being has to carry a body with him. And even the most enlightened being has thoughts, has perceptions. And so that is the illusion that they are living. Now, we are living that same illusion, only that we are conditioned to be more invested in the idea that we are something. That's what they're referring to us here. They're addressing us as that person that is going through life as a person that needs to be divested from its own identities, from its own personality. And that's what the school that they describe, that is the school that we are in, because this illusion is making us feel that we are separate, that we are just independent agents of this reality, and that we must somehow survive. So the key thing here, as they say, is love. Love is what permeates everything. They say love has become the moving force, the creative energy that has made all that there is out of that which is called light. For us to find this love that exists everywhere, that is the invitation. That is the yearning, actually. If you see and if you notice, if you analyze yourself, all that you're seeking is love, whether to give it or receive it. And when you look at that, you have the key to this universe. You have the key to your life. Putting this into context will reveal to you that you are simply a creature of love. And all that you do, even those things that you criticize of yourself, all of that is made out of love, is seeking love. So that's why love is so prevalent in our New Age language, when we perhaps haphazardly we use the word love everything, appreciate everything. Well, there is nobody to appreciate love. You see, this is a good trick for the mind, to begin to see that everything is love. But as you perceive yourself in the meditative state as pure presence, all that there is no choice of love. There is only love. There is, if you want to use another word, appreciation. There is gratitude for the simple fact of being conscious, being able to perceive this reality. You see, when you dream and you think you are a character in your dream, you are involved in the drama. But when you become lucid in the dream, you are that feeling. Should I call it love? Should I call it appreciation, gratitude? Mix all of that in a blender and see what you get. You get the feeling of a lucid dream, that you are in fact the whole dream. And so that bliss that you have when you become lucid in a dream, that's exactly what you feel when you are in the pure presence of awareness. So to use this, and we'll get to that because they do mention some of this in their channeling. When you reside in this blissful state, you have nothing else but to experience it out there. Out there, I mean in the world. And so every catalyst, every situation, experience that we encounter is just testing us, testing our device to measure love, our inner device to measure love. So they continue saying, the effort that it takes to do this is that effort which you may call the polarization in consciousness. You have the opportunity, by using your conscious attention and focusing as clearly and concisely as possible, as in the meditative state, upon each portion of catalyst that comes your way in your daily round of activities. If there is any experience that throws you from your centered feeling of loving all of the creation and the feeling one with the Creator that you achieve in your meditation, then that is grist for the mill, food for thought, catalyst for being processed into an experience that give you information as to how the creation about you actually functions, about how love is embedded in each moment. So it's easier to understand this paragraph now that we have experienced that presence of pure bliss. You see, because when you go out in your personality, in your own persona, which you have conditioned yourself to believe you are, and you encounter this catalyst, this experience that makes you question your own beingness, that is, like they say, food for thought, or grist for the mill. That mill is just producing love. So that is catalyst that needs to be processed in a way that you can perceive the love in the moment. And that moment is for you, of course, to decode, because we all encounter different scenarios and catalysts that we all react differently. But in the end, all it's providing you, or us in general, is love. And so how do we decode love in the moment? That depends on us. So they keep going and saying, when you find that there is a catalyst or experience that topples you from the centered feeling within your inner mountaintop, then this is a gift to you, from you, before the incarnation. For various types of catalysts can be perceived by a multitude of entities in a multitude of ways. For each of you has chosen to learn various lessons that are what you have determined to be the next lessons necessary in your overall soul growth. You have not come here to be immediately enlightened. You have come here to work towards that enlightenment and gain the power of polarization in the process. This is not an easy program for advancement, for you have, of necessity, needed to forget all of the truths of how the creation is made and how you are a part of it. The truth of unity, the truth of love being all present, the truth of light being that from which all is made. In this illusion, it quite easily and persistently gives you this impression that all of these things are not part of this illusion and are not part of the truth which you seek. There's a little phrase here that I'll get to it in a second, but one thing to keep in mind is that, remember, in the first part, we talked about meditation being the way in which we can connect with the one creator, the way in which we can perceive our own presence as being the presence of God, the presence of pure consciousness. And using this as the background for our own perception. Let me start there. It's our own perception, our self-perception. That is what we need to analyze and see, which part of myself do I not see as being the one creator. And then extrapolate this in our daily activities and the experiences that we have every day. And you see how you can actually bring about this perception of self within the meditative state into the experience that we're having. How is it that I can perceive this about whatever it may be in your life as the one creator, or within this sense of unity? There are so many words we can use to convey the same message of understanding that all that we see is the same being manifesting itself in different ways. So I love when they say that you have not come here to be immediately enlightened. You see, this is the question that sometimes is asked at the beginning stages, saying, because the person understands it intellectually first and says, if I am God, why did I come here to suffer? Why did I come here to do all of this? And you see, the question is wrong, because it's not the question, it's the source of the question that is coming from the separate self that is asking, if I am God, why am I separate? Well, the thing is that if you are God, you are not separate. But then as a sensation of separation, it goes on to asking, I am suffering, whereas God does not suffer. You see, and I don't intend this to sound too abstract, but God doesn't suffer in the sense that when you, and you can check this in your experience, when you stand in the presence of pure awareness, is there a possibility for suffering to be there? No, because suffering is simply a resistance of the current situation. And you see, pure consciousness has no resistance at all. So you can check in your own experience that God does not suffer. The one who suffers is the persona, the identity of that which is incomplete. And that is simply a wrong association of ourselves with that appears to be incomplete. This universe appears to be incomplete because there is space between its particles, or so-called particles, between the stars and the planets and so on. But it's one universe, you see? So it's all a matter of perception. And so if we want to see it from the materialist point of view, then everything is separated. If you want to see it from the mystical point of view, then everything is one. And in between these two, as you can see, the dance of stillness and activity. And that is the invitation to see the oneness in everything. Not the oneness of the creation being still in everything, or the massive activity that will end in inevitable entropy. No, is in the beautiful dance, this dynamic tension between rest and movement. That is all. So, finishing up this phrase that I love, they say, you have come here, meaning first that you have not come here to be immediately enlightened, because that wouldn't be the purpose of third density. They say you have come here to work towards that enlightenment and gain the power of polarization in the process. Oh, it's so beautiful. You see, you are... Let me rephrase this, because you are already enlightened. You see, when I talk to you as the one creator, you are already enlightened. But because I know I'm talking to the mind in you, I will say you are not enlightened. And so you have come here to have a mind so that you feel that you're not enlightened. So in the process of you to regain this enlightenment through the mind, which is dispersed and convoluted, in that process of realizing that, see, that is where you gain the power of polarization, because you gain the power of going back to one in the apparent separation of reality. So much more we can say about this, but this is the challenge that we find in our lives. So they continue saying, thus, when you find you have been thrown from your one-pointed center, that still point of unity, then in a portion of your meditation for the evening, it is well to take this experience, to relive it again, and in the meditative state that you may expand it and allow it to become larger than it was in real life, to become ridiculously large, so that you experience it to the fullest. You experience all of the power of seeming separation, of disharmony, of doubt, of confusion, of jealousy, of rage, of anger, whatever the emotion, whatever the experience that has taken you away from the unity, may be utilized to find that unity deep within the self once again. For when you experience it in a ridiculously large manner, and then see the opposite coming toward you, if you are angry, seeing love coming toward you, and allow it to become as large in proportion as was the anger to begin with, then this process of balancing will give you an even keel, shall we say, according to the situation, so that you see it as an opportunity for you to know yourself more fully, for you to know the Creator more fully, and for the Creator to know itself more fully. That is the purpose of the creation, my friends, that the Creator may know itself in greater depth, in greater intensity, and greater variety. If you follow me in the Law of One, you will realize that this is exactly the same exercise that Ra gave us, albeit in a very short way, I have to admit, when Ra says that you should to balance your emotions, you should always find the opposite. And this is the process. As Quo is saying here, well, Quo being in part Ra, we find the same exercise. And that is to receive that catalyst and simply take it with you. You see, like they say, is a gift. You get the gift of catalyst, and that's okay. Your reaction and your actions don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. It's how you take this catalyst and bring it within you into the meditation, into the meditative state, so that you can exaggerate it, like they say, whatever it is. And they're using obviously all the negative emotions of rage, jealousy, anger, etc. All this seeming this separation, and exaggerate it, becoming very large, so that you can see that there is its opposite coming towards you. And in that opposite, you can see the unity, how the creator actually knows itself. Because you see, it is not as if, you have an emotion of anger, and for you, this is the coping mechanism that a lot of spiritual people fall into, especially in Advaita, in non-duality, where they say, everything is an illusion, I don't have to pay attention to that, my anger is an illusion, all is love, and so on. This is a terrible mistake, because that is denying the creator the knowing of itself as an angry person. Because only in anger can it perceive again. It's like a rubber band that stretches itself to know its limits and then comes back to it again. So in coming back to the meditative state, in the presence of the one creator, what you see is expand this absurd emotion to the degree in which you see the opposite. And when you see the opposite, you reconcile the two of them, and you see that both are one. You couldn't have one without the other. And so it's a beautiful exercise for us to do at the end of the day, like they say. So you are moving around your reality every day, collecting catalyst for you to go home and meditate on it. Admittedly, this can become a very arduous process, but remember, in the past, you weren't even bringing one of those catalysts with you to the meditative state. So if you bring 1, 2, 3, whatever you feel like it, just bring them in and keep working on them. It's more than you have done in the past. So I think I got a little bit lost. Okay, so the next paragraph, they say, and thus each of you as a portion of the Creator, give to the Creator this great gift of your own learning, that you have found the Creator where it was not before in your perception. This is a process which takes a great deal of time to accomplish, and yet it is that which each of you has been born into for the purpose of doing. This creation about you is that which is loaded, shall we say, with various kinds of catalysts that can give you this opportunity to expand your awareness of the balance within yourself and within all of the creation. Your pre-incarnative choices have put a certain charge, shall we say, upon various kinds of catalysts that your subconscious mind shall guide you to during your incarnative experience, so that when you see this catalyst coming to you, you will respond in a certain fashion, hopefully, if you are in harmony and unity with your pre-incarnative choices. So, just to recap again the last part, you see, it's this process of finding the Creator in all of our in our catalysts, in our emotions, that elevates us, our perception of our own self. Because if you think about it, all those reactions that we had to catalysts is what we perceived ourselves to be in the past. When you balance it with the presence of the one Creator, then you're getting to understand yourself a lot more. Makes a lot of sense, right? So they go on to say, and this is just part of the planning of our incarnation, that this life is in essence loaded with so many catalysts that provides the opportunities that we chose previously to incarnation. And this is the kind of catalyst that our subconscious mind will use to guide us through the process of evolution. So like I said before, you are with a little basket every day looking for catalysts, seeing what's the catalyst, and you don't even have to look so far. All you need to do is sit in meditation and find what your mind is telling you. Yes, there are things that happen outside of you that you may feel that is eliciting, this response in you, and it's well to analyze those too. But you will find that the catalyst that needs the most attention is the one that is reverberating in your mind all the time. And for that, all you need to do is just sit in silence and listen to your mind. They continue saying, each of you has perhaps a handful of these lessons which you wish to learn during your incarnation. As you begin to learn these lessons more and more fully and process them in the meditative state, so that the meditative state is able to seat the lessons within your being, then you are able to profit from this process, and you have increased your polarization in either service to others or service to self, depending upon your choice, and we are sure that those here have chosen service to others. Thus, you will find that as you move further and further through the incarnative process and gain the wisdom of years and the equanimity of experience, that you will discover certain, shall we say, benefits, or as the business world would say, perks, that come to you as a result of your being able to take in the catalyst of the world, the confusions, and to make a sense of them, to do as the alchemist, to make gold out of the dross, and to make the pearl of great price out of the passing fancy, the difficult emotion, the disharmonious choices. So what we find here is just more poetic way of saying that those lessons that you have chosen to experience here in this third density, they are there for you to continue to polarize yourself in the service to others or service to self. And I agree with them, of course, that if you're listening to me, you are in the path of service to other. You have chosen that polarity. And that service to others, ironically, starts with the self. You need to start being of service to yourself, to the one self in you, rather, not the... You see, here is where the division between service to self and service to others actually is, it's easily seen. When you know that there is an ego that you have created, feeding that ego is service to self. On the other hand, serving or feeding that pure presence of awareness is serving others, because everybody else is that other pure awareness. What you see on them, that personality, that is a persona in the background of pure awareness. So when you serve this pure awareness, you're catering to this one being that is hidden behind that persona, behind that ego that you see in other people. But you cannot work with the ego to inform the other ego. You need to work with your absolute self to inform the other ego that they are not real. Now the last part, they say, all of these are possibilities for you, so that that still point within the heart of your being, which you find in meditation, can become more and more a reality that you experience in your daily round of activities. And as you experience this sense of peace, of equanimity, and of joy within your own heart, then you may give it to others as you exude the very nature of your being. Wow, that's beautiful. The simple interchange of ideas, of information, of experiences with those you meet every day in any way that you might imagine. This illusion is for your experience, for your growth, for your ascension, eventually into the fourth density of love and understanding. And that finishes up beautifully this whole channeling. There's more to the channeling, but if you are familiar with the format of Quo, is that they are asked a question which they elaborate, usually at length, like this, which took me 2 podcasts, 2 episodes, and then they go into shorter Q&As, which is it's a beautiful format. It is the format that I enjoy as well. I like to include a little bit of a meditation between the Q&A, but again, Quo is not there to meditate with them. They are there to give the, I forgot who coined this term, but the cosmic sermon, and then go into the questions and answers. But in any case, this last paragraph is just beautiful to summarize everything. When they say that all of these are possibilities for you, so that I can't read it anymore. All of these are possibilities for you, so that still point within the heart of your being, which you find in meditation, can become more and more a reality that you experience in your daily round of activities. You see, there is the point of meditation. Meditation should not be an activity, something that we do because it's going to yield something. We don't do it because of that. We do it because we enjoy that sensation of being able to perceive our mind, to not be involved with the mind, to simply sit and pay attention to the mind, knowing that we are not that. And so the more we do this, the more this pure being starts to shine. And you can bring this to your daily activities. This one being. You see, this is when they say in the same paragraph, as you experience this sense of peace, of equanimity, and of joy within your own heart, then you may give it to others as you exude the very nature of your being. The very nature of your being is the stillness in you. The simple interchange of ideas, of information, and everything else, as they say, that makes up your interaction with the world. The more you exude this very nature of your being, the more you are incarnating your true self, the higher self, we might say. So this is the process that I enjoy the most, and I'm so happy to be able to share it with you, because I have derived so much perfection in the presence of my own self by enjoying this in meditation, but also by analyzing all my experiences in life, everything. You see, all that shadow work and all the little things that we do as activities or exercises, they're all automatic here. They all seem to work without you doing anything. This is possibly one of the best ways in which we can use this Chinese concept, Taoist concept of Wu Wei, is the acting without any effort, the simple act of being without any sort of mental involvement, just simply being. And you can observe everything as it was a movie. The movie is what's playing in your life right now. And so our involvement in the movie is what creates the drama and the suffering for us. But that's because we don't know any better. But as we know and we learn from our own being, our own essence, then we begin to see that this essence is what the Creator is, the involvement in the activity and the rest within itself. That is you. That is the one Creator. So with that, I come to the end of this episode and the end of this channeling, which I have to say is one of my favorites. So I hope you enjoyed it. You got some value out of this, and that you learn many things that are here that I wish I could express in even better ways. But this is my own method, it's my own view, and I just like to share it. I thank you, as usual, for being part of this, for listening, and as always, I'll catch you on the next one.